What's cooking, folks? Vermillion Phoenix here, and today we're jumping back into some more Orcs Must Die Unchained. Today we're going to jump into the Crogon Keep with Temper, and hopefully we can get this all finished off this week. What do I want to use for this map? It's pretty long. You have a lot of space to work with. But you also have to worry about these guys coming from basically everywhere. The right side is usually what I would consider the most difficult for people to clear, but there's a lot of space that generally gets wasted on the left side too. You can sort of force everybody to either go up this stairway here right next to the rift, or you can force them into the kitchen. The kitchen gives you a lot more room to work with because you can deal with this side relatively easily, or I should say without having to think about the left too much. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do. But the question is, how do I want to use the traps? So the kitchen actually is pretty solid at just allowing you to spam a lot of damage traps very heavily. We can do something like floor spikes, grinders, spitfires, and floor scorchers. And then we'll just ignore the ceiling traps. Ceiling traps are sort of all or nothing for me on this map. There's some really good places for them, but not a lot. Like there's some space under here where you can put some really powerful ceiling traps, but they really only work here. So it's like you're selecting a single trap for a lot of burst damage here that doesn't work too well on this side of the map, for instance. I guess the best thing to do would probably be something like a ballista, but since the ballista nerf a while back, they're not as consistent at taking down groups of enemies, which was the goal. They didn't want ballista basically being the go-to ceiling trap in all cases, and for better or worse, they succeeded. Yeah, I think we will just go with the floor scorcher, and then I guess if I don't want to worry about bosses specifically, I can just drop the BGH. It's really not necessary on this map. There's no bosses that are really scary. You got what? Dread, 2x4, and Mountain Troll. All those just heavy enemies, not a boss specifically. So we can put in just the Dragon's Lance. All right, and rather than discounts, I guess I could take discounts. Do I want to take Fire Sale? That should work. And we can take Smashing Deals. And the reason I'm taking Dragon's Lance over actually no, I shouldn't do that. I should just take this one. I have a short spring on this, so it's less expensive, but at the same time it also has a debilitation resonator, which makes my physical damage from Temper do more damage. So that's a good idea. I think we're gonna stick with this. All right, let's get it going.
What a lovely day. Too bad I gotta use it killing stuff.
All right, looks like we are all loaded in, and we're going to be starting off on the left here, which is the normal starting position for this difficulty in this map. Now what I like to do is set up some Bernie stuff going this way.
Why can't everyone just be friends?
Now you could do something like this just to make everything walk this way. Not really necessary, but
I always like making trap
do what you think works.
Not so much using them though.
The one thing you will have to worry about is there will be some ogres that eventually come through here, and when they do get through, they are going to deal some damage to this. It's really not that bad as long as you don't spam a lot of these. Like some people like to have enemies hug the walls, but due to the fact that the fire ogres are going to come, at some point that strat breaks apart. So you need to either babysit this, which takes time from other things, or just leave it with something simple. So this is what we're going to use, and if I decide to change it midway through, you'll be able to see that. So let's get it going.
The enemy has opened a minion portal.
Can't afford to put a grinder like right here.
They've broken through a gate.
Nice. Wasn't expecting to see a 7 that soon. Alright, so for the most part, this works if you just hold the enemies here. Because I have a couple of siphons and my viscous tar, my HP, and if I had mana would regenerate. But I don't really have to worry about anything else at the moment, so good.
Let the trap do the killing, so I don't have to.
Now, the way that the enemies are going to spawn on the right side should be from the upper right-hand gate. It's a really slow gate, but it causes itself to basically reach the rift at roughly the same point that the bottom right-hand gate does if you leave it open, as in you don't force them to go through the stables on the right up here. And that's the fire ogres that I was talking about. Alright, we're going to grab Anger Loves Company. And I'm just going to head over to this side, and we're going to trap it up just a bit so that we don't have to worry about doing it so much later. So what I like to do is put about 4 of these here, because I'm going to put some floor scorchers going this way, and enemies that flip out will essentially be impaling themselves, which helps me out just a bit. Okay, so a lot of these guys get through. And this is such a bad spawn. We can get rid of this guy, but I'm not going to actually stop that rift.
Enemy minions incoming.
Where were you going? Off the cliff. That was the correct answer. But somehow you missed the fire. Not sure why. Alright, so there's a couple things that we'll want to do here. First is say no to anyone going up these stairs.
Enemies incoming. They've broken through on another front.
Now there's plenty of things that we want to do besides that. Let me hop up here for a moment and
they've broken through a gate.
Can't jump across that. I'm not finished on the other side. That's also a bit of the problem. Oh, I need to block this. I'm wasting a lot of time at the moment. I'm going to do this.
That looks like
and that. So now those guys are going around to the back. I don't have any traps back there yet. So they're just going to take a really slow walk. For protection, dropping the stable hand. And we're going to remove our rage decay now. So whatever does manage to slink through there really won't be too scary, hopefully. And now we have our rage mana hybrid since... Ooh. No thank you, sir. Alright, there we go. Extra dead.
Feeling good, but not like fighting. Need more rage.
So... Gonna give us the speed boost. That was a... No, that was a potion. Thought it might have been a coin. I'll still grab it. Smack you. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to trap up the kitchen, which would have helped us out with saving a bit of time here had we done that sooner. We're going to place another one of these here. The speed boosts are your friend. Alright. Now it's a good idea to make sure that everybody's on fire going in. Pull them down a bit to make sure that they're even more effective. Now we're going to lose that barricade in just a quick moment.
Our barricades are under attack. I'll just leave it here.
Going to do that. Of course.
Everyone be careful.
Set up a grinder there. Grinder there. Spikes going around the corner.
Our barricades are under attack.
And then something like that. Not the best thing in the world, but it'll take out quite a few enemies. And we will have fewer things to worry about. Now what we really need to do is get the traps set up for this side, because we are nowhere near safe over here yet. Left side's pretty good until the upper left gate opens, at which point we need to finish off the kitchen, and then you can see all those guys are dead. So the thing about ballistas is they have obscene range, really obscene. So you really don't need to spam a ton of them, but what you want to do is place them in these sort of locations where they can make the most of their range in as many directions as possible. So we are going to get a lot of things coming through here. They're going to die really easily. And this is the gate that we're going to try to babysit at first. You can see even with that barricade gone, these guys pretty much still just walk over the traps and die. And we get pretty much enough time so that we can hop back over here and deal with these guys best way we know how, which is to smack them in the face with the hammer. I could not even see him for a moment. It was just the sword swings. Ah, missed him. Okay. Whatever. You get to live another day. Alright, so we're just going to let that ride. And then we're going to rush back up here to the kitchen so that we can strengthen this area a bit. Now, it's a good idea to make sure that whatever we put up here has line of sight outside of the door. Not that one. That's the one that I wanted, but okay. We're just gonna hop back out here and bust up this rift.
Oh, I hope that doesn't break nothing.
And we're gonna take hammer. Probably should have picked that before I actually threw the hammer. That would have been a good idea. Okay, you're back. That's fine. You should die now. And now I gotta head back to the center, just in case anything sort of busts through. And there we go.
Our traps are being disabled.
That's a bit of a problem. But I knew that was gonna happen if he stayed alive too long. The Guardians can just kill him.
The enemy is disabling our traps.
Oh, he's getting more of them. That's bad.
Gotta keep the rift safe.
Okay.
Like this here spot. Our traps are being disabled.
I heard you.
Just gotta clear my head right quick.
So I'm gonna have to smash the kobold and all of his totems in there. Luckily, he seems to be hanging around there quite a bit, and the Guardian might be doing some good damage to him. Maybe. Oh wow, he literally just spammed crystals here. It literally is a game of Whack-A-Kobold. And destroy any other totems just in case, because you never know when one's going to slow you down when you absolutely don't need to be slow. So now we have to prepare for the opening of this gate here. Now, most of the things that are going to come out here, I believe, are heavy. So you want to give yourself as much time to murder the crap out of them as possible. Some slows up front are a good idea. It condenses them. Then you can put your spikes and then some flame traps. And basically just all the damages. All the damage. Every single bit of damage you got. Just pile it on. Make sure that they don't get too far. Because they can basically ruin your entire game if you don't deal with those properly. What is that? It wasn't a fireling, I don't think. How would it have gotten across the barricade then? I don't know. Maybe it was a fire alarm. Okay. Time to run. Those are gnolls. Oh, so that was probably a grenadier gnoll. I'm like, why would that just run through so easily? And oh, it's because it's just going to toss grenades at me if I was anywhere near it. Now, I should say that this method is particularly slow. It doesn't really benefit anyone other than, you know, just being able to do it with slower melee heroes, and that's pretty much the entire reason why I do it this way. Because while you can use the stable hands, I may have mentioned this in a few of the other videos I've done with Temper, but you can't really move super fast. Like a lot of the other heroes with movement abilities can use them to get places super quick, but Temper seems to ignore any slow debuffs, but it will not compound the speed buffs, so you still have a few things to worry about. I was trying to see when that hammer would allow itself to be thrown, and it was really fighting me there. A quarter the cost of happy place, so now I can be happy all the time. It should be noticed that because I'm using happy place to move around a lot, it's more important that I get that discount on this map, just to make sure that this isn't as annoying as it could be.
I can't do this. Stop it.
My bad. We can also do something like this.
That looks like it could hurt somebody.
Alright, and while that's really nice, there's a couple other places that we can do something similar. There's Dread. Dread should be coming from the center map up in the north. No, he's coming from over here. Okay, I'm not really worried about that unstable rift anymore, just because of the path that they'll be taking. It's a really inconsequential one. They don't really have too many unstable rifts locations that are like scary on this map. Yeah, Wrath of the Forge is like basically a mini Unchained for Temper. It's really good if you get to use it around a bunch of enemies. Oh no, they actually got through. Not well, but getting through is getting through. Alright, all of you guys can just go right in. Thank you. Alright, and then they should die over where they are. I need to set this up, though.
I always like making trap hearts. Not so much using them, though. Watch out for this! This spot looks mighty fine.
Alright, out of cash. Actually, before I do that, I should probably set up a ballista or two.
Trap do the killing. Well, I don't have to.
Because they should take a good bit of damage just going over the spikes and the fire. Now we got a Gnoll Breeder coming from the very top here. And a Priest. Alright, Priest is gone. That's great. Not worried about the rest of these. And with the Priest gone, I really don't have too much to worry about.
Maybe not that.
Alright. Definitely got to take care of these big guys, though. Without the use of some heavy traps underneath there, they will try to break through, and they're probably the most successful crew at ever actually doing that. Alright, let's go see what's happening back here. Such a large map. Okay. So this area seems to be holding itself pretty well now. I like that. Places that could use a boost are currently, well, basically everything on the right. Alright, you guys are just gonna have to run in here, and your buddy's gonna have to die. Alright, there we go. Alright. Solid combo things. Alright, and because I don't want to have to deal with these guys quite as much, once I get the coin, oh no.
Gotta get control of myself.
They might have taken that shot on their own, but I didn't want to chance it. Like, if I didn't have the slow springs in there, probably would have been guaranteed. But being cheap has its disadvantages. Everything's got to be balanced, pros and cons. Alright, so again, I want to toss up more of these ballista, both down here and in the other lane that's just north of here.
Why have I gotta hurt you again?
Alright, that should be just about all of them. And nobody's going to make it past the Guardian. Now, alternatively, you can set up some heavier damage traps over here. This area, actually, because it has walls, floors, and ceilings, you can do just a ton of trapping really well. It's the left side that really doesn't have a lot of like really solid trap space. You have to either use a ton of ceiling traps, which eats into your trap count, or you have to use a lot of walls and then barricades to force enemies into places where they'll kill themselves. And I mean, early on in playing Orcs, like I used to just have fun placing like all sorts of barricades, but eventually you figure out that the more traps you place that aren't dealing damage, the worse you do overall at just clearing things out. So your goal is never to place a ton of barricades, unless for whatever reason that is absolutely necessary in the strat you're using. So that's 2 before, and he's kind of dangerous because he can wreck a lot of the stuff that I have planned there.
Well, I wish I could do that.
I did this completely wrong. I should have ran forward and then okay.
Go, Hammer, go! Easier the boss droid has been taken down.
Yeah. I don't have the coin for it. Okay, they can just run in. Nothing else is coming though, so all I need to do... Oh, geez, you had to turn around, didn't you? All I have to do is finish off this last crowd. They may just die to the traps, in which case I am free. Come on. Go ahead and die. It's all you need to do. Got a present for you. There we go.
Oh, we won? Great. I can stop hitting people now, right?
Indeed you can. No more hitting necessary. That's a particularly long map, so scores tend to be a bit higher there. Alright. And we got a Rift Lord Chaos Key. Celebratory Dance and Periodic Heal Aura. Heal Aura is so annoying. But that was pretty good. Traps did a ton of damage. Temper did tidy some himself. But yeah, that wasn't too bad. 19 minutes, 12 seconds. If you want to be really fast, that map can be done in like under 13. But yeah, this is Crogon Key. But let me know what you guys specifically think of it. I know somebody tossed a dislike on my last video. Not sure why. Of course, most people never leave any information when they do that. They just thumbs down and move on. But it doesn't really bother me any. If this video helps you guys at all, ooh, hide minimap. You know, feel free to let me know if there's anything that you guys would like to see. Drop that in the comments. Might not get to it immediately, but I'll probably get to it in the future. And yeah, you know, I always love just hearing from you guys what you think. Either way, we'll be moving on to the final map for Temper, Eventide Fortress, in the next video, and then I can begin working on his hero overview video. I am still finalizing Elin's, which I haven't gone back to since I stopped working on it this weekend. But if I put Temper out tomorrow, that means I should be able to finish that off and hopefully get it out like maybe Friday or Saturday of this week, but we'll see. Either way, thanks as always for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you learned something, again, that's great. But until next time, take care of yourselves and have a good one, folks.